Hello and welcome to your mom's favorite channel. Today we'll be making jalapeno poppers 3 ways, and let's experiment by using some pickled jalapenos or even some fresh jalapenos. While we're at it, we might even use some non-jalapenos. These are actually just sweet peppers, but I'll be trying all of this so you don't have to. Let's go! Poppers are normally stuffed with cream cheese. Today we'll be making our own using tofu, and I did not cover this for dramatic effect. The paper towels help absorb the excess water from the tofu, and less liquid equals stiffer cream cheese. Just toss the tofu into your blender. I used about 440 grams for this recipe. Then add 1 tablespoon each of lemon juice and apple cider vinegar. Then add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of nutritional yeast, just to make it a little more cheesy. Then it's blending time. Your blender might struggle at first, but please resist the urge to add more liquid to it. Otherwise it might not come out as stiff and creamy as this. Taste it? This is better than any vegan cream cheese I've ever bought. The next step is completely optional. You don't have to do this, or you could add whatever else you would like into the cheese. I'll be dividing this into 2 batches today, so I'll be doing some sun-dried tomatoes and chives. Alright, let's split this bit. Yes, that's how stiff this stuff is.
Get out, you bastard!
I was really surprised at how well this cream cheese came out. I'll definitely be making this again. First I'll be doing the sun-dried tomatoes. I'll just be dicing them into cubes. Then just add that straight into one of the portions. Next I'll finally chop up the chives and add that straight into the other portion. And to this I'll also be adding some oregano. And then you'll give it a good stir, make sure everything is nice and mixed up. And to the sun-dried tomato batch, I also added a little bit of pepper and some lemon juice. And while we're preparing the rest of the ingredients, we'll put this straight into the freezer. That will prevent it from drying out and will help it stiffen up even a bit more. Alright, let's talk jalapenos. We've got some fresh ones and some pickled ones. The jalapenos you find in jars generally don't have their hats anymore. So that leaves them exposed and vulnerable, and might make it difficult to keep stuff inside of them when you deep fry them. But we'll have to operate on the rest of them. Firstly, we'll remove its hat, and then with a paring knife or a small knife, we'll carefully start taking out the seeds and membranes. And once you get in there, a twisting motion really helps to get all the stuff out. And we end up with a jalapeno with a small hat, and we'll use a toothpick to keep the hat in place. This is a bit time consuming, but it's well worth it, I promise. And when using the pickled jalapenos, sometimes they have to pee first. Another method would be cutting open the sides with a little flap and then scraping out the seeds and membranes with the back of a spoon. I personally don't really like this method as it's trickier to get the seeds out and it's also more difficult to stuff. These fresh peppers are by far the easiest to prepare and also the easiest to stuff. Stop it. Get some help. It's quicker that way. Now that we are ready to stuff, it's up to you to decide what goes in where. And then with a small spoon, start spooning some of the cream cheese into the jalapeno, making sure to fill them. At first it might be a bit tricky, but you'll get the hang of it. Try not to overfill, and put the hats back on using some toothpicks. And to some of them I'll be adding some of this Violife Greek style feta cheese. I find that this stuff is better than actual feta cheese. It's so creamy, it's nice and soft. You can just stuff it in there, but I'll also top it off with some of the cream cheese. And once you've stuffed all your peppers, get them into a bowl, and we'll be putting these into the fridge while we prepare the batter. And like I said, we'll be making a beer batter. I'm using craft beer, it gives it a bit of a better taste. To a bowl, add 1 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, a good amount of pepper, and 2 teaspoons of salt. Mix all the dry ingredients together so that it's well incorporated, and then gradually and slowly start adding the beer while stirring. You want to end up with a nice thick pancake-like batter. In another bowl, add some flour for dusting, and 2 other bowls some normal breadcrumbs and panko breadcrumbs. And now our batter station is ready to go. I forgot to check if the beer is still okay. Yeah, it's still good. Let's get some batter on these peppery bitches. First we go into the flour, then the batter, and then the breadcrumbs. And we start over again. Flour, batter, panko crumbs, and repeat. The jarred jalapenos I'll be putting straight into the batter with no crumbs, and while I'm doing that, the rest of them will be going into the freezer just to chill out a bit. And then we should also be getting our oil on the heat. In a small pot, preheat your oil to 180 degrees Celsius. Hey Nori, I think this stuff will be a bit too spicy for you, but you can try some of the cream cheese. Oh, you like that. Ooh. FYI, I did clean my hands after that, so chill out. I'll be stuffing this one pepper just to try it out. I just want to see what happens with the batter and if the stuff will come out. Hey Nori, the stuff's gonna burn you. You can come back later. Anyway, I'm gonna batter this one and toss it into the oil and see what happens. It actually came out pretty good, I'm surprised. And it's nice and crispy. It's very hot, so be careful. The stuff didn't leak out and it's nice and looks like a jalapeno popper. I call that a success. One down and many to go. Let's get the rest of them out and start frying. The batter firmed up a bit in the fridge. That also helps the crumbs to adhere better to the jalapenos. Let's get these into the oil because I'm getting fucking hungry. Try not to overcrowd your pot as that will cool the oil down and result in longer cooking times. Sprinkle them with salt once they are done, that will keep them crispy for longer. The different coatings require different cooking times, so keep an eye on them and take them out once they are golden brown. Always be super careful when working with hot oil, you can sustain severe burns. But the only burns we want today is from these jalapenos in our mouths. I had some of the batter left, so while at it, I coated some of these shiitake mushrooms. Some of the jalapenos might not look pretty, but they're still damn delicious. I'm really stoked with how these came out. The coating is nice and brown and super crispy. Even Nori thinks they came out pretty good. I'm not gonna let her taste this because I think it will scorch a little mouth, and we don't want that, hey Nori? No. You can't taste it, but you can smell. Okay, goodbye Nori, let's eat. Just a word of caution, if you don't like a lot of spice, try using the pickled jalapenos instead of fresh ones. They tend to be way more spicy, especially if you did a bad job at removing the seeds. They are also crunchier than the pickled ones. The pickled jalapenos flesh tend to be a bit softer because they fermented a little bit. I'm sure one could also cook the fresh jalapenos before the time. That should reduce the heat a bit and also make them a bit softer. This is also a typical pub snack, so this goes well with beers and nice dipping sauces. And then for a nice fun game with your friends, stuff one of the jalapenos with the extra spicy sauce and then play Poppers Roulette. Anyways, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, like this video, and as always, see you in the next one. Peace!